Today's video is sponsored by Forever Pick. Each guitar pick is handmade by luthier Robert S. Paul in Chicago, Illinois. Enjoy a rainbow of tone when you take advantage of 25% off by clicking the link in today's show notes. Bass players don't always use guitar picks, but when they do, it should be a Texas Jumbo by Forever Pick.
Remember that video I did a couple weeks ago about Tonewoods? I got all kinds of comments on that video, and I thought it was worth revisiting and examining just a little bit further. Thank you all so much for watching the video that I did on Tonewoods that went up a couple of weeks ago. It seemed to do exactly what I had hoped it would, which was generate some conversation. Of course, a lot of disagreements, but as there always is among the topic of Tonewoods as it relates to guitars, particularly electric guitars. Regarding that very first video, before you go any further in this video, I do strongly recommend that you click on the link up in the card right here to take you to the first video and watch that one first. Go ahead. I'll wait. You know, it did generate a lot of things, and or a lot of conversation, rather. You know, there was really seemed to be two main things that I noticed from all the comments, and I got a lot of comments on that. You know, there seemed to be a portion of you that agreed with most of my assessments in that video, and I do emphasize the words in that video, and I am going to get to that here in a minute. There also seemed to be some of you that completely disagreed with me and thought Tonewood, as far as electric guitars go, has virtually no bearing on the tone whatsoever. And then there was the contingent of you that seemed to think that Tonewood contributes but is not the overwhelming factor. Just for kicks, as a reminder, let's go back and listen to the demo that I recorded to accompany that video. Quite a bit of difference, right? Here's the thing about that particular recording. I lied. I did what I never do on any of the recordings on my channel, and I doctored the EQ on it. Here is an example of the clips, again, with screenshots of the EQs that I had added to it. What did it sound like with the EQs completely flat? Here is what it sounded like without any EQ on it whatsoever. Virtually identical. I couldn't tell a single bit of difference. There were a lot of comments, and I mean a lot of comments, that were complaining about the basis of that particular experiment. And there were a few people that did catch on to this that I didn't talk about in the first video. It was two completely different guitars, with two completely different scale lengths. The body woods were different, the fretboard materials were different, the necks were different. There was the mass of each guitar itself was completely different. The Washburn was a string-through body. The fake Les Paul, if you will, was a Tone Pros stop tail. There was a lot of differences between one guitar and the other. Virtually the only thing that was the same on each of those guitars was the neck pickup. And again, because the scale lengths were different, the neck placement of the neck pickup in reference to the strings were, also a little bit different. So, for those of you that complained about all the different variables between the two guitars in that video, and were saying, well, no wonder it sounds different. Tell me what you think now, with all those different variables, and now that you see the actual audio, what it sounded like, without any editing or anything like that. And they sound exactly the same. Now what do we think? And I am very interested to hear some of these comments. Hopefully some of those folks, if they are not subscribers, will come back and watch the second video regarding this. Because, in general, here's what I think. I do still subscribe to the tone wood theory. I think that different woods, different species of woods, do produce different tones, even as it relates to a solid body electric guitar. And while I do think they contribute heavily, I think the tone of an electric guitar is a giant compilation, a giant orchestra, if you will, of all of these different factors. It's tone wood, it's strings, it's string material, it's string tension, it's scale length, it's fret material, it's pickups, it's electronics, and by electronics I'm referring to I'm referring to the potentiometers that control the pickups, and those values and how they may vary a little bit from one pot to the next. It's the hardware, it's how the strings are installed on the body, be it with a stop tail or a string through body or a locking tremolo system. It's all of those things. All of these things combined create the tone of an electric guitar in and of itself. And that is why there are so many different designs and so many different options and so many different things to choose from. Because if none of those things mattered or mattered very, very little, then you would walk into a guitar shop and instead of several hundred guitars hanging on the wall, might have 2 or 3. Why would you need any more than that? That theory might be a little far-fetched, especially once you get into pricing and, low end versus high end versus, middle of the road versus all that stuff. So, my final assessment, tone woods or anything that people seem to think has a major contributing factor to the tone of a guitar, I have 2 words for you regarding this topic. Placebo effect. We have been trained to think that all of these different factors bear a lot more weight against each other than they really do, when realistically they all contribute equally. That, my friends, is the power of marketing. And the power of marketing that many of us don't even realize. I've been guilty of it. I used to think a little bit differently than I do now, especially after this experiment. And yes, this 2-video thing is absolutely an experiment. I responded to several people in the comments in the first video with nothing more than stay tuned, referring to this video. So I hope that all of you that watched the first video do watch this one and find this to be very eye-opening, because I certainly did. I am also very, very excited to read all the comments that you guys leave on this video. because I think this was a very, very interesting experiment, and I'm curious to hear the final results of what all of you think. If you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below. I will post links to the original video up here in the card, as well as down in the description. Any other links that may apply will be down there as well. Your comment section is down there right below that. Please drop me a comment down there. And thank you very much for unknowingly participating and unknowingly agreeing to be my personal guinea pigs with this experiment. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. You know what? There are tons of young people out there that want to get involved in music and do not have the means to do so. If you are watching this video, most likely you're a musician, and many experienced musicians have tons of broken and unwanted gear lying around that they're not doing anything with. Please visit my friends at Share the Music on Facebook at the link below and learn how you and your unwanted gear can help change somebody's life.